put some of this out, but because of how high the winds continue to be in this area, they're not able to mitigate that right now. This man who drove up right now tells me that one of the homes burning right now, the man who owns that home is just watching his home go down in flames. Again, the winds here are still pretty high. I'm seeing fences being torn down right now, and this is still an area that is not only just dealing with the winds, but these power lines continue to be a concern for the crews out here because they continue to tilt back and forth. And if you take a look with these winds, that fire continues to grow. This area in general, we're seeing a lot more smoke, and it looks like it's continuing to move east. So still a very active situation here.
So have you seen any fire crews? I see some lights back there, but are they able to run hoses, or does it seem like they're able to attack the fire? Do you just kind of have to let it burn?
Well, from what we've seen, we have seen a couple of firefighters running back and forth. It does seem like they're trying to put out some of these fires that are attacking these homes. But again, they're working against these high winds. So it's really a struggle right now, but they are on the ground. Multiple fire units are around these homes because, again, we're on the left-hand side of the road. But if we were to cross over to the right, you can see more homes kind of in danger there. We're going to try to cross over here and see if we can get you a better vantage point. But if you take a look back here, the further down you go, it's kind of hard to see. I'm going to see if Mari can zoom in there, but there are more homes burning down this stretch, about 7, I'm being told. So we're going to try to get down there and see if we can talk to anybody. But as you can imagine, many people are very shaken in this area, and right now we're hearing that so far we haven't seen anybody actually physically being taken out of these homes. So I'm assuming that maybe some of these families were able to evacuate beforehand.
We hope so, Marissa. Now, we know that you and Mario, you've been out there all day battling those winds. Do they appear to be getting worse, or are they getting better? How are they looking, too?
So for us, I mean, again, we've been out here for about 3-4 hours now. For me, it feels like the winds are staying the same. I mean, they're still pretty bad. We're still having a hard time just being able to stand, and it's sporadic. It comes and goes. At one moment, we might be okay. We're able to walk, and the next, I'm trying to pull Mario back to make sure that he doesn't fall. So we're seeing a little bit of everything back here. And again, this is an area that's still pretty active. I mean, there are tons of XL crews in the area monitoring this because these power lines have been a big concern for them all day.
Wow, just remarkable. Very familiar with that, and you see how
very tragic. I mean, just to see this live in person right now, I don't even have words for it because, again, that's someone's home that's going down in flames right now.
Yeah, and that's almost a canyon area down in there, and a lot of those homes, very old people, lucky enough to have found such a beautiful, idyllic place there on the southeast side of Boulder, and the city's really grown up around them, but they've held on to some of those great properties, and just so sad to see them go up at this point. It's just very, very tragic.
Yeah. And we're going to try to make our way again. See, here come the winds again. It comes and goes. One moment we're doing okay, but then the next we're just being blown away. And again, this entire area, there are little patches that continue to reignite, little fires. I mean, if you pan over this way, you can see that they're being reignited by these high winds that are coming in and out. And so we're going to try to make our way down this hill right now to see if we can get some more footage, or maybe talk to this neighbor who's watching his home and take a look at that right now. I mean, as these winds pick up, you see how rapidly these flames are moving. So this is obviously a challenge for these crews out here, trying to mitigate this.
All right.
Marissa, thank you so much. We know how exhausting mentally and physically it is covering those fires out there. So we appreciate all. Our crews have been incredible out there.
Yeah, and certainly those fire crews, first responders.
Yes.
And, we talked about the folks over at Vista Adventist Hospital. I want to get to Alan Janae in just a moment. Talked about how the flames were right up against the hospital earlier. Did have to do some evacuations. We're learning from Vista Adventist. It evacuated its NICU, ICU, and ED patients, and those were transferred to Longmont United, also St. Anthony North, staff sheltering in place, and certainly some of the patients who can't be moved sheltering in place at Vista Adventist. So, and even people on the front lines of the health situation have been impacted. And I think, is that where they took one of the local hospitals up there did report, I think it was a UC Health facility had some injured?
Yes, they had 6 people as well who were injured. So
with
it's
fire-related injuries, haven't heard of any conditions.
Yeah, and we know they have protocols in place, but it's still scary. It's terrifying.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's get back to Alan, Janae. And Alan, I think you talked to some people who have emerged from that apocalyptic scene that we see on the far side there.
Okay, each moment, Jim, this changes right behind us. A few minutes ago when I spoke to you, maybe 10 or 15 minutes ago, this fire was, I would estimate, a third of a mile to the west of us here. Now this fire is, I would guess, about 1,000 feet from us. It has moved significantly closer. You're looking at fire equipment that has moved into place right there to try and stop these flames. Look at that flare up right there before they reach us here at 96. We're at 96th and Dillon Road. I spoke with somebody who was with Avista Hospital who was coming out of that area. He was clearly stressed, but he told me everybody's out, everybody's good. That's the great news about the evacuation of that hospital. If you have a loved one there or anybody affected by that. I also talked with a man coming out of the area who he couldn't stop. He said, I'm just going. I'm just going and I'm going to keep moving. He said, there are homes on fire back there. They're burning. I'm getting out and I'm going. And he just was too upset to even stop and talk with us. But look at this fire right now and what the firefighters are doing here along Dillon Road. They are trying to draw a line. You can see firefighting equipment behind it, and you can see they're on the side of it here, but it's all on that side of the road right now. I mean, this is an area that is still open at this moment, but this fire will not stop moving. Look at that line and the way it's just marching across there like the fire itself is a field of soldiers on the move that just is unstoppable at this moment. Here comes that smoke. More people coming out. Just absolutely incredible. I'm going to take a walk over here while Rob shows you those pictures. And I see someone driving out here, and hopefully my microphone is still good. I'm going to see what he can tell us here. Hey, oh, yeah. Hi, I'm CBS 4 News. Tell me what's going on. I'm actually live on the air right now. How are things back there?
It's so pretty crazy out there, and we're not able to see anything that side. So the cops are directing us towards this side. So I'm evacuating right now. So from Superior, I'm from Superior.
You're from Superior. Yeah. You're just trying to get out.
Yeah, I'm trying to get out. I'm to get back to Boulder. So I'm just, trying to get to the mountains.
Understood. I gotcha. All right, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. And there are homes on fire back there, right?
Yeah, the homes are on fire back there.
Homes on fire. Okay, thank you. There's a man evacuating coming out and just trying to get out. He was squinting and rubbing his eyes, which I can tell you I'm doing and a lot of people around me are doing because we're getting a lot of particles coming at us right now. Let me see if there's someone else here that I could ask. Here's a woman. I'm going to be hi. Alan Janae, CBS 4. You came out of the hospital.
Correct.
And I'm actually live on the air. So tell me how things look back there.
Am I allowed to do that?
You don't have to tell me about the hospital. I know you might have. I'm going to fumble with my microphone here. Okay. But how the fire looks and all that back there.
It's really terrible. I mean, there's a golf course that surrounds the hospital, and there's multiple houses on fire that are just in huge flames.
Multiple houses on fire.
And when I turned right, because I'm trying to get out of the area, coming down this road, the ditches and things and the trees, they're all up in flames. Like there's embers everywhere. So it makes me very frightened, of course, with the wind that it's going to continue to spread to other homes. It was so dark, of course, that you just can't see anything. It's like the black of night until you're able to drive out of it. Here it's a little bit better.
Is that frightening to drive out of?
Yes. I mean, because I didn't want to leave, right? But we have to evacuate for safety purposes for everyone. So we had to go. but it did make me very nervous to drive through it. Yes.
Even you see the firefighters there, and,
Yes.
and all of
Yes.
that, but still.
Yes, but as you're driving down this road, it's just black and windy, and there's embers blowing, and I mean coming over your car, and it was just like, where am I? You know, I mean, it's very frightening.
It is. Well,
I
thank
mean,
goodness you're okay.
Yeah, I mean, if there was like, I would imagine this is what a nuclear attack would look like. It's just, I feel so badly for the people in the homes back there. It's awful. It's awful.
I understand. All right.
Yeah.
What's your name, please?
My name's Patty.
Patty, what's the last name?
Is Holtz, Holtz.
Oh, okay, thank you, Patty.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad
Yeah.
you're out safely, and I know
Yeah.
I understand you probably don't want to speak for the hospital, but I'm sure you took care of people. Obviously, you were at the hospital.
Yeah, the hospital was evacuated. I think that's safe. I think that's
Yeah, that we do know that,
yeah.
and that's okay.
Yeah, so the
But-
hospital was efficiently evacuated and.
Well,
taken
thanks for
care of.
taking care of folks, and thanks
Yeah.
for speaking with us. I'll let you
All right.
drive on. Thanks,
All right.
Patty.
Thank you.
Take care. That really conveys to you what's going on back there, and as this fire continues to move closer to us in this field back here, and the smoke rolls over us, it's just a fire that can't be stopped, and we're all watching this and squinting and getting a face full of smoke and having difficulty breathing. It is a tough situation right now that I don't think can change until the wind settles down. Jim and Mac, I'll bring you back in here if you have any questions.
Aaron, Alan, I think that Patty Holt, speaking for all of us, not only a frightening situation, but also just the sadness. You could hear the emotion in her voice, seeing those homes go up and, people's life savings into these homes and properties. Just really a tragic scene more than anything.
It really is, Jim. It's the worst of all scenarios. I was told earlier that you have fire moving like this with wind like this, dry conditions like this. There's not much you can do about it. All the firefighting equipment in the world can't stop fire and wind like this. And they're getting as much as they can on there. I'm going to get out of the lane of traffic here as a vehicle is coming this way. But I don't know how it stopped.
Yeah.
So I might see if I can chat with these folks here who are
Alan,
coming out of the area.
Great work. It's
Yeah, Jim.
great to hear from folks who are just getting out of there. Certainly no fire hydrants that they
Yeah.
can rely on. And, well, there's one right there.
No,
Interesting to
you have
see
to
one out there in the middle
you
of nowhere.
Yeah.
Coincidence, Jim, I think that you happened to say that at that moment. One humorous moment in all of this. But fire hydrants are few and far between, certainly out here. I'll ask this transit driver here, what's up? Howard, how are you doing?
Hanging in there.
How
I gotta go talk to somebody.
Okay, all right, man. He's got to connect with somebody. He says so. He's, likely looking for somebody to pick up.
Yeah.
Look at. Rob will spin around in a moment and give you a look at this, the wind, and the way that's carrying that smoke right there. And again, this fire was a good third of a mile or more away from us 15, 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And now we're right within short range of it here.
Yeah, and Alan, thinking of that young man who had to pick somebody up, what he's seen driving out of that area, and we certainly heard it on the voice of Patty Holt, just what they have seen trying to get out. And obviously those images, when the smoke clears, it might not be until tomorrow that we get a real look at the damage these flames have left behind.
Well, as you know, Jim, as I said earlier, they can't fly. They can't get up in the air and see this fire from the air to get an estimation of how big it is or what's happening. And look at that. Look at the firefighters out in the field there that Rob's showing you right now, and what they're trying to do. Some of this might be burning back on itself. I'm going to move my microphone again, guys. Pardon my bumping it here, but I want to make sure that it's out of the wind so that you can hear me. Some of this as I see, is kind of burning back a little bit over burned area. That's a good thing, but it's not stopping. And here comes the wind again. You know, every once in a while, we get it kicking up like this. And look at that wildland firefighting crew right there, trying to put water on that, trying to get it knocked down. You know, every little bit of fire you put out is less that can jump somewhere else. And there it is along the road too. And there's the smoke. Look at that, Rob. I guess that's burning right on the edge of the road right there. Obviously, they're worried it might jump over to the south side of the road. That's on the northwest side of this intersection here. And again, we're at 96th and Dillon in Louisville.
Get back to the tripod.
Okay, we're gonna move our position back a little bit.
Alan, thank you.
It's just incredible. Back to our tripod here. Incredible as I watch the firefighters swarming over this like ants in a way from a distance. I'm trying to, you know, put it out here, put it out there, put it out there. Everywhere they move, there's a fire to put out. And, you know, they've got to be breathing a heck of a lot of smoke in there.
All right, well,
we're fortunate that right now this is blowing a little bit to the north on us.
Alan,
So,
certainly
certainly
the firefighters playing the role of David in David versus Goliath, quite the underdog role. We appreciate your coverage, Alan. We'll be back to you shortly, I'm sure. A couple of other scenes we want to check out. Thanks to Alan Janae.
Yeah, we're going to take a live look right now. Actually, we're going to the Boulder Sheriff's Office where we're waiting for a media briefing, a press briefing at 5 o'clock here. We're expecting to get more information on these fires that
That's right. Due to start at 5.
So many lives. So we will have that live here, and we will be streaming it on CBSN. But 5 o'clock at the Boulder Sheriff's Office, they're going to be updating us on what they know. Speaking
of the sheriff, there he is, Sheriff Joe Pelley, longtime sheriff of Boulder County, and we are told he is going to be joined by Governor Jared Polis. We know that the governor is in the building, if you will, and a short time ago we mentioned that he has declared a state of emergency due to these fires in Boulder County, and that's going to free up a lot of state resources. Once again, the media briefing is planned for 5 o'clock. Certainly, as soon as it begins, we'll bring it to you live. Right now, let's check in with Dave Aguilera. And Dave, before we get to him, we're going to go to Jeff Todd. Jeff, what do you have? There's Jeff.
Right next to Adventist Hospital. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Jim, this is really a remarkable scene. We are right next to Adventist Hospital. The good news is it seems like the hospital has not sustained very much damage, if any at all. But look at this neighborhood to the north of Adventist Hospital here in Louisville. Countless homes have been completely wiped down to their foundations. And right now, this is some of the strongest wind that I have felt since we got out here very early this afternoon. We are down in a valley here near the hospital, but as I look back towards the town of Superior, I can see active flames on the other side of Highway 36, and this neighborhood here near Adventist Hospital absolutely getting destroyed. Countless homes. The smoke is so thick, I don't even know how many homes are in this neighborhood. And continuing to drive these flames and destroy home after home as we see it continue to march to the east. Again, the good news, we have heard that the hospital got evacuated, and from what we can see right here, it does not seem like the hospital sustained much damage, but it is just remarkable when we look just a few yards away what has happened to the neighborhood near the hospital. We're hearing a roaring sound as the wind continues to burn, and then this is another noise that we continue to hear, a popping noise. We've been talking to some people around the neighborhoods and asked them what they think that is. Some people have maybe speculated as propane tanks or what it could be, but just a remarkable, horrific scene here in Louisville. Jim?
I know none of us would ever have imagined seeing scenes like this right here in the metro area. And could you remind us, Jeff, you're in the town of Superior?
I look back towards the town of Superior on the other side of 36. Eric, why don't you pan over? We can still see active flames. That's on the other side of 36. That's what they call downtown Louisville. Again, here's a look at the hospital. It seems like if there's any damage, it's going to be very minimal. And then the town of Louisville, there's this neighborhood just north of the hospital, and it has been completely devastated. This may be an area where we're hearing some of the 300 homes that have been lost, but the wind is just ripping right now. Some of the strongest winds we've heard, and this was a time when we thought that the winds would be dying down, but if anything, they are getting stronger and making this very dangerous situation even worse, continuing to drive these flames to the east.
Jeff, we can only hope that everybody did acknowledge the call to get out when it was possible.
You just hear those
Yeah,
winds.
we're going to get out of here, Jim. We'll talk to you later.
Jeff, thank you.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
These images, we'll never forget them. The Marshall Fire. And as we look at some of them right here and, some fencing and probably a residential area, Jeff just talking about an entire subdivision going up in flames as we have crews spanning that area up in Boulder County. And now as that fire pushes to the east, and there's another housing development, and you can just see the smoke. It doesn't even have a chance to get 30 feet off the ground because it is blowing so hard. We're going to get to Dave in a moment to tell us just what the scene is, or the situation is, on when we can hope them to throttle back at least a bit. But the spreading so far, you can be in an open space area, see some flames that have no structures within a mile around. 30 minutes later, it's into the subdivision. It's unbelievable.
We just keep seeing the fire. I mean, it's moving so quickly. You can just see that in all these images here. Now we're going to get a check-in with Marissa as well. Marissa, how are things looking now?
Hey, Jim and Michaela. Well, things are not good here. We just drove down a little further down from where we were, and take a look at this. This looks like a war scene out here. We drove down the stretch about 2 blocks, and almost every home has somehow been touched by this fire. Homes completely burned down to the ground. As you can see, vehicles, sheds, tools, I mean, anything that you can think of. Almost this entire area down this stretch here has somehow been touched by this fire now. It's so heart-wrenching to see this happening right now. And there's still crews. I mean, if you look over to my left-hand side, this home is actively burning right now. There are crews out here trying to put that out, but they're not having any luck because, again, they are working against these high winds still. And about 5 minutes ago, I spoke to a man whose home burned down. Mario, can we take a look over here on the left-hand side? That corner home right there burned to the ground. And I asked him, what his reaction was, and he said, I don't have anything to say. I mean, what do you say when your home is literally burning down here? So, yeah, a lot happening right now. Again, just what we're seeing right now, for me, so surreal. I mean, not only is it trees, but I mean, it's homes, it's sheds, it's people's tools, and not only that, but we're continuing to see on my right-hand side, winds continue to come from this side as well.
Marissa, how many homes would you estimate that you're seeing right now? Marissa, can you hear us?
Looking at a scene on Cherry Vale and Marshall. Marissa Armas has been there for several hours as we see homes going up in flames. To the right, that's in the South Boulder area, a little bit southeast of town. Over on the left, Jeff Todd is giving us a look from his area up around Louisville, as those flames, whipped by hurricane-force winds, there's just no abating them at this point. Fire crews, I'm sure, just feel so helpless. Yeah. Usually they're in a situation when they get called to the scene, they can respond. Yeah. They can battle the flames and save lives, save a house. But in this situation, with the extreme weather, the extreme winds, the dryness, the humidity has to be down around 5%. Just horrific conditions for fighting a fire, and it makes the job pretty much impossible at a time like this.
Well, and Jim, can you imagine, like Marissa was saying, just feeling so helpless, watching your home burn to the ground?
Yeah.
not being able to do a thing.
Unbelievable. Maybe we can hold on to these images and just check in with Dave Aguilera in the Weather Center. Dave, what's the wind forecast for the next 2 hours?
Well, at 5 o'clock, the high wind warning was set to expire. But as we've been telling you throughout the afternoon, I really think the winds are going to continue into tonight. It might not be as strong as what we had earlier. And now a new update on that stretch between Highway 72 and 93 in Arvada. 115 mile per hour winds this afternoon popped up in that location today. And Rocky Flats near Boulder, White House open space, South Boulder, 90 to 105 mile per hour winds in that zone out there. And what has been happening now is we've had the sustained winds keeping the fire going, and the sustained winds themselves have been anywhere from 30 to 40 miles per hour. And then you get these gusts, and usually when we talk about the higher winds, we talk about the gusts. The gusts can kind of come and go like waves in the ocean. There's a steady flow of water in the ocean, but from time to time you'll get a big wave coming through. And that's how these strong winds work. And when you get that big wave coming through, that's when you get these gusts up to hurricane force and beyond, which is 74 miles and above. And they're continuing to go into the afternoon tonight. So I would not be surprised if the Weather Service decides to maybe extend this high wind warning past 5 o'clock. Right now it's set to expire, but I think until about 8 o'clock or so, we're going to continue to see these big gusts come through, and then through the night it will remain windy through the evening. But
Dave, can I jump in?
Yes, yeah, go ahead.
Interesting, Dave. You've been busy informing us from back in the Weather Center, and while you've been on the air, you are correct, talking about the National Weather Service. Just a moment ago said the high wind warning now in effect until 8 p.m. They did extend it.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. When we talked earlier, I was thinking, man, these winds are going to extend past 5 o'clock. And that's how a lot of times these things work, like we have snow advisories coming and warnings for tomorrow and the next day. And we put a time frame on them for when you could see the heaviest of the wind or the snow or whatever you have. That doesn't mean at 5 o'clock, bam, it's all over and it's gone. And a lot of people think that way. It's only till 5 o'clock, so we don't have to worry. But, you'll continue to have the winds, might not be as strong as they were earlier, but they'll continue to go. So not surprised that will continue now until 8 o'clock tonight. So in that zone, we're talking about this area here, all the way down into southern Douglas, up into Estes Park and Fort Collins. 80 to over 100 mile an hour winds are still possible now for what is now the next 3 hours around here. And as you look at those pictures there, you could see when the flames come out, man, they are just laying right down. The winds are just kicking through that area. And then from time to time on some of the wider shots, when you see that big smoke plume, sometimes like earlier when Alan Janae was talking, the smoke is going straight up in the air, and then it lays down when one of those big gusts or one of those big waves comes through. And I might also throw in, if you are planning to drive up in any of those areas, I don't know if we could take max 3 here, but the road to Boulder is closed. The turnpike is closed, and 93 is closed going up to the Boulder area. So if you were planning to go up there tonight, I would not. The roads are closed. You're not going to be able to get through tonight. And I feel for folks who were not in the area and able to grab all their stuff or had to go to work today from Boulder into the city and just are not going to be able to get back and even see if their belongings are still there. So tough stuff.
Dave, the news conference beginning. Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Sheriff Joe Pelley of Boulder County and Governor Jared Polis.
Part of our county and in the areas of Superior and Louisville who have been evacuated. We know that there are structures, both homes and businesses, that have been burned and lost. I'm speaking about hundreds of structures. We know that people are anxiously waiting for word about the conditions of their homes and their neighborhoods. I want to assure you that our fire personnel are working as hard as they can to save additional structures as we speak, and when it's safe to do so, we'll start the emotional and painful process of assessing damages. The 2 fires started late this morning. The first fire, called the Middle Fork Fire, was reported just before 10:30 near the intersection of North Foothills Highway and Middle Fork Road. That fire was attacked pretty quickly and laid down later in the day, and is currently being monitored. There are no reports of structures lost for the Middle Fork Fire. The second fire, the Marshall Fire, was reported just after 11 o'clock a.m. at South Foothills and Marshall Road. Over the course of the day, this fire ballooned and spread rapidly east. It's currently reported to be at about 1,600 acres. It spread through Superior and parts of Louisville and unincorporated Boulder County. Avista Hospital and many care facilities in the area have been evacuated. The Louisville Police Chief and City Manager, or Mayor, are here to provide more information on Louisville and what's happening there, and they'll talk to you in just a minute. At this point, we only have one reported injury, a minor injury to an officer's eye from wind-blown debris. It's too early to tell if we have any fire-related casualties. We have no fire-related casualties reported currently. However,